Okay, picture this. You're on stage, the band is grooving, everyone's locked in, and then all eyes turn to you. It's time for your solo. And in that one moment, a single terrifying question completely takes over your brain.
Right there, that's the moment it can all fall apart. That blank canvas that's supposed to feel like creative freedom suddenly feels like a black hole. But here's the thing, the problem isn't a lack of options. The problem is the lack of a system.
For most of us, this is exactly where the panic kicks in. And the usual advice you hear, just learn more scales, is a totally flawed strategy. That's like telling a builder who doesn't have a blueprint to just go buy more bricks. It doesn't solve the real problem, which is structure. We need a better system.
So this is where we implement that system. We're going to construct our improvisation from a foundation that is engineered from the very beginning to eliminate bad choices. I want you to think of these as your pre-approved architectural materials.
This is the pentatonic scale. And look, I know what you're thinking, but this is not just another scale to memorize. It's a strategic toolkit. By taking out the notes that create the most dissonance, the ones that are most likely to sound wrong, we're left with 5 notes that are incredibly stable and harmonically powerful. Just look at how efficient this is. We're using the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th degrees of the major scale. This isn't just some random collection of notes. There's a reason these 5 notes form the melodic backbone of entire genres of music. And that reason is fundamental structural integrity. They just work.
The biggest advantage of thinking this way is actually psychological. When you remove the fear of hitting a wrong note, you free up a ton of mental energy. Your brain can stop worrying about note choice and can shift its focus to the things that really matter: rhythm, phrasing, and, actually building a compelling musical story.
So now we know what the system is. Let's get into the why it works. To really understand why these notes are so effective, we have to look at the underlying physics of it all. We have to talk about musical gravity. Every great building, every solid structure has to start with a foundation. Well, in music, we call that foundation the tonic. This is our home base, it's the center of gravity, the one point of ultimate stability. Every other note in our blueprint is going to relate back to this one central point. This whole process is really just about managing tension and release. So the tonic is our foundation. Some of our notes feel totally stable, like pillars resting on that foundation. But then you have other notes, the active notes, and they feel like they have a gravitational pull. They want to move somewhere else, to resolve back to a point of rest. This pull is what creates all the forward momentum in your music. So, for example, in the key of C, the notes D and A are our active ones. They create this slight tension because they feel like they're being pulled towards more stable notes, like C, E, and G. Your job as the architect is to manage that journey from tension back to stability. In fact, that journey is the melody.
All right, enough theory. Let's move from the abstract to a real-world construction project, the 12-bar blues. This is where we get to apply our blueprint in a dynamic, moving environment. Phase 1 is pretty simple. We're just going to establish our initial structure. We'll take a single chord, let's say a C7, and use our C pentatonic blueprint over it. This just lets us get comfortable with our tools and get a feel for our home base before the landscape starts to shift.
But a blues progression isn't static, right? The ground shifts underneath you. The harmonic foundation changes from C to F and then to G. So a single blueprint that we designed for a C chord isn't going to fit perfectly over an F chord. Our strategy has to adapt.
And the solution here is to simply adapt the blueprint. When the harmonic foundation shifts to an F7 chord, we just deploy the F pentatonic blueprint. When it moves to G7, we use the G pentatonic. See, the core design, the architecture, it stays exactly the same. We're just recalibrating it for each new foundation.
So we've got a system for choosing the right notes. But how do we arrange them into something that's not just correct, but actually compelling to listen to? This is where we shift gears from engineering to aesthetics. The key really lies in balancing 2 opposing forces. Repetition, on one hand, provides organization. It's like the repeating columns you see on a big government building. It creates a sense of order and logic that our brains like. Then on the other hand, you have variety, non-repetition. This is what adds interest. It's the ornamentation, the unique details that catch your ear and make the whole thing memorable.
This is really the fundamental principle of musical architecture. I mean, think about it. Organization without any variety is just boring. But variety without any organization is just chaos. A great improviser instinctively understands how to balance both of these, creating solos that feel both logical and, at the same time, surprising.
You know, the biggest misconception out there is that structure somehow limits creativity. The truth is, it's the exact opposite. Real strategic freedom isn't born from having infinite choices, it's born from having a powerful, reliable framework. So that initial question, what notes do I play, it's just not relevant anymore. You have the blueprint. The only question left is, what will you build?